to my sycophants. These are flesh vessels, just like you. You have invoked the wrath of a powerful entity. Perish! You have challenged my legion, but you will.
Hello and welcome Exiles. Today I'm bringing you a video on a specialized build. I don't normally do things like this, but for this league, I'm really into Sanctum, and something I've thought about a lot is doing a hitless run. Now, this relic, as far as I know, isn't super rare, unless you're really unlucky. Like me, I've been doing Sanctum all league. I haven't seen one. There's been multiple people that have messaged me saying, I have 2, I have 3, I have 5, I have 7. It's not like a headhunter where you're going to see one every like 20 leagues as a random drop type of thing. It's something that you realistically will see at least once this league, probably if you're doing Sanctum on a regular basis. That being said, for those people who have dropped it, you probably don't have a build that can do it easily. And I'm here to bring you a build that can do it easily and a build that is also cheap. So, to start things off with, this entire footage before that I showed you, and the footage I'm going to put on the end of the video, is showcasing you how the build performs with basically baseline budget setup. And to illustrate that, I do have a +2 trap in mind. Dialysis is the one I have, but to make it budget, I have a level 18 gem. This simulates a level 20 gem with no +2 on the chest piece. Just Dialysis, just a 2.5 to 3 divine item. That's all you need. On top of that, I am simulating with an Empower level 3, not on Empower level 4. I'm trying to cut the costs where I can. Previously, I've been playing this build with a +1 power charge. It's like a 4 divine corrupt on heat shiver. I bought a 4C heat shiver. I bought one with just some random brick corruption that doesn't matter. +2 lightning gems doesn't affect my character at all. My gear is 2 void batteries, a badge of the Brotherhood. These items are around 70, 60C for the void batteries and about 100 to 150C for a badge of the Brotherhood. They're cheap, they're affordable items. On top of that, we are using Immortal Flesh. This helps us sustain Righteous Fire on a character that has no HP. Since it has 350 HP and Righteous Fire's damage is based on how much HP you have, it's a percentage, this 350 flat is massive compared to that, and it allows us to sustain Righteous Fire and have big damage. Basically, the idea of this character is pretty simple. We are getting damage on every gear slot possible, we're capping fire res, we're going Icicle Mine with projectile speed, and we're actually going an Assassin because damage. That's why. Damage is important. Now, how do you pull this off without going to Deadeye? Deadeye has the chain node. The chain node makes Icicle Mine clear off screens. How do you get to clear off screen with an Assassin? Well, quite simply put, we're using a jewel called Ulamans Gaze. This gives you the ability to wall bounce your chains. That means an enemy way farther away, you can hit your projectile that hits a wall closer to that enemy, and then it'll chain and hit that enemy. It allows you to hit enemies around corners, and in the footage you can see this with the B-roll footage I'm going to include at the end of the video, that you can chain around with it. For my character setup, I have 2 of these jewels, which means for every searching eye jewel, we're getting 4%. So since there's 2 of these jewels, technically that would be 16% chance to chain off a wall. And then I have 1 more searching eye, which means for each of these jewels, they're giving 24%, or they're not getting 25%, they're giving 12% each, which would get to 24%, but it caps at 20% chance. This works great because if I have an Icicle Mine, only one of those chains can go back and hit an enemy. And when you have Icicle Mine, this is a skill that shoots out about base. I think it's like 6 or 7 projectiles at base. Fires 6 additional, so it fires 7 projectiles at base. If you have a 20% chance to chain, at least one of those projectiles will chain off a wall and go hit basically an enemy. So it basically guarantees, even if your Icicle Mine isn't always going to hit the enemy, it'll bounce off a wall and it'll hit the enemy anyways. And I think there's some built-in auto-targeting it with this skill regardless, but that's the point. It's always just guaranteeing we're going to be being able to hit enemies off screen and chain enemies if we don't hit them with one of the 7 projectiles to begin with. How do we get chain? Well, it's just a Sanct McCrane. This allows us to get +1 chain, and 1 chain is all we need for the bounce off a wall to hit an enemy, and it works great. And then for our links, we do faster projectiles with a swap to power charge on crit for single target. This is only necessary at the very budget end of this character. If you get a character that has pretty good gear, frankly, you never have to gem swap at all. I, with my decent gear, was doing a gem swap for a 2-man carry for a hitless run. I did a couple of those yesterday on stream. If you want to check the VOD, you can watch to see how they went. I was still getting I was still learning the process of doing a hitless run. I had done basically 5 solo hitless runs with no relic, just practicing, and it was seeming easy. But then once you add in another person, there's a lot more you have to manage and make sure that gets done right. And I bricked a couple. Sometimes the person I was carrying bricked a couple, and then a couple of them we succeeded on quite well. So that's the story if you want to watch. That's the story if you want to watch the VODs of me doing carries for this build. And then the other idea of the character for the other pieces of gear, Blood Dance. Basically, this means if the enemy gets to low life, we're dealing about 270% to 300%, depending on how many max power charge you get to, extra damage against enemies on low life. This combo is great with Assassin. Essentially, Assassin gets 15% more damage, 100% more crit chance. We're already crit crapped without this, so it doesn't really matter for the crit chance. But point is, if the enemy gets to low life, all of a sudden we're dealing like 300% increased damage, 15% more damage, and cull. They get to low life, and then we delete them. That's how it works. And on top of that, we have freeze, which means we take enemies and we deal another 100% of our cold damage as fire with heat shiver. We're just stacking damage on damage on damage, and the only important thing is capping our fire res, and then where we can, getting damage on our clusters. The important things are you want at least one pyrotechnics if you can, and then I really like guerrilla techniques and expert sabotage. You don't have to go with these clusters specifically, that's what I recommend, but ultimately, depending on how expensive clusters go, you can go for a different notable on the trap like clusters. Basically, there's a lot of good trap nodes that are quite powerful in my opinion. I'm gonna put myself on D&D. I don't respond to this guy anymore. I have to I want to just record this video, then I'll respond to him. But anyway, so this is the idea for the character. We use Zealotry to reserve our life to low life, get the 30% more damage there with an arrogance on Zealotry, and then basically all of our other links are damage, damage, damage. Hopefully I've explained the character well. Now I'm going to illustrate it in practice against Lycia. And although this character doesn't have, I'll show you right now, although this character doesn't have, you know, this isn't a hitless run, I haven't dropped one myself. I have not gotten hit this run. I'm playing with 200 HP. If an enemy hits me, I will die and lose the Sanctum. This isn't, I have negative res. If the enemy hits me, I will die. This is just me doing simulations and practice runs, and then eventually I'll do basically carries for other people, and hopefully I will drop my own hitless run and be able to do it myself. But that's just to showcase that, hey, this isn't a hitless run per se, but I am running it effectively as a hitless run. And also I should say, I am prioritizing boss take increased damage relics. These are something you might want to farm. If you don't have any of these, I'd probably recommend it. I think I could potentially take off all these relics and still do this run pretty cleanly on this character with this budget setup, but I want to be clear about what we have here. We have picked up Ornate Dagger and Sanguine Vial. You prioritize these. I have very rarely been able to do a run where I don't get these basically relics. If you have additional merchant options and if you prioritize Accursed Packs, you will pretty much every single run get these. But I have to be clear, we are playing with a setup that is good for damage, even though we are a 4 divine, 5 divine, 7 divine build in terms of gear cost. We do have the advantage of we have a good setup. We've run the Sanctum well, and we got to this point. So I'm going to showcase how to do Lycia. There is going to be, I'm going to probably make a follow-up video to this video, basically a guide walkthrough on how to run a hitless with this character. You'll have the basically b-roll footage at the end of this video where it showcases how I did each room up. I think from floor 2 to floor 3 I recorded most of it, so you can see how my character plays in the Sanctum and how you do different rooms. But basically there's a few basics like, hey, don't run Scriptorium boss on floor 1, and then avoid trap rooms and avoid things like Fiendish where they have cannot be frozen pretty much as a mod on them. Stuff like that is pretty basic stuff that I'll go over in a guide, but I want to do it in a more like well-rounded full format video for people that want to know how to do a Sanctum hitless run themselves. So for Lycia, and this is the same thing whenever we get in a zone on this character where there's a 60-second grace period, that is a time period where you can do this boot swap. And this is the one feels bad part about the character. We have to do this boot swap with Ralakesh just to get our charges on our character. That is the center and the key piece of our damage. If we forget to do this, we're not going to be doing damage. Of course, we put on power charge on crit, do the swap, and then for Lycia, it's a pretty simple process. We simply walk to this wall over here. I curse, I mess it up. Yeah, and then we erase her. So you stand there, and then you dive to this corner. Every single time, it is the easiest thing. The second she starts her animation, you just dive to that corner, and you're guaranteed the W right there. We have traps disabled, which is really, really nice. Traps are probably the most dangerous thing in a hitless run, in my opinion. So when we have traps that are disabled, it makes this little walk here not dangerous. But if you didn't have traps disabled, you do things like you put a totem here, you'd put a totem here, you'd block them, and you'd have a free run through, stuff like that. So of course you get over here, say you're about to run out of charges, just make sure you refresh your charges. This is the only awkward part of the character, but it is necessary to do. So that's what the character looks like when you're doing a run. That's the kind of damage you can expect. Even though this is quite honestly very cheap, affordable gear, it is still a good build that works regardless of that stuff. So say we're going back into here, I'm thinking, oh, I'm about to run out of charges. The main thing is you just want to make sure you have your charges when you're going into these fights. You preload the mines, you can preload your whatever, you go over here, and then that's it. That's all you have to do. You just have to have basically a different keybind for your mine, so that way you can walk around without detonating your mines if you're doing left click on mines. And then when the boss actually is activated to fight, you go ahead and you proc him, and you just go hard. Also, this run, we did pretty good. We got 4 divines, so good Sanctum run. And hopefully that gives you a look at how easy a hitless run can be on a character. And then expect from me, hopefully, a video on a full, basically, walkthrough style guide on how to do a hitless run with this character specifically. And the POB will be included in the description of this video. Later tonight, I'm going to be streaming basically probably some hitless run carries for people. And then you can get an idea, if you want to watch the stream, you can get an idea of what it looks like to play this build in a hitless run environment. Not in just a one-person environment, but a carry environment, which actually adds quite a bit of difficulty in monster life, and you have to hope the person you're carrying doesn't suicide on accident and stuff like that. But anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and hopefully now you have something that you can do that's a cheap and affordable, and if you're sitting on some hitless runs, you can go build this character and run him. This isn't a mapping character. This isn't something you're going to go around and play the game with, but it's just a character where you have some hitless runs, you boot this character up, and you go dominate him. I should say, this example, we die to everything. We get one shot, we get tapped by anything, and that's why, for this character, I should also state, this isn't a mapping build. You're not going to level with this character. This is strictly something that you get to level 70 through the campaign, and then you put it in some 5-ways, you get it to like 92, 93, you spec it out, and then whenever you get a hitless run, you run it. That's pretty much it. And then I should showcase real quick, if we're this character and we're farming a room, for example, this is all we do. Same thing we do on Sanctum is I'm going to put on the correct gems first. You swap on the boots, you come over here, you just basically mine through, and you don't die too often, but there are things for, like, example, Eater of Worlds has monsters that are intargetable and, like, can attack you. Like, they seek you out and they blow up. Those stuff will kill you. You're gonna die randomly here and there, but you can still generally pretty much do maps pretty consistently, get into the Sanctum, saying, hey, I'm ready to go, confirm your relics, and you're good to go, basically. That is the essence of what this character is. Hopefully you guys like the video. Hopefully you like this character and enjoy the B-roll footage of this character dominating the Sanctum run for the one I just showcased. Anyways, take care, Exiles, and peace out.
Hello, Exile. Every little bit helps. This should help. A bit. One step closer. Every little bit helps. I'm sure I'll see you again. Hello, Exile. May incense watch it.
Another human tempted by power. A mortal after my own heart.
Bow to my sycophants. These are flesh vessels, just like you.
A sacrifice today is a blessing tomorrow. The future is bright for those who wait.
Hello, exile. This should help. A bit. Every little bit helps. In a...
Another human tempted by power. A mortal after my own heart. Let's see how strong your resolve truly is. You stare into the abyss, and the abyss stares back. You stare into the abyss, and the abyss stares back.
You have invoked the wrath of a powerful entity. Perish! You have challenged my legion, but you will succumb.
A sacrifice today is a blessing tomorrow.
Explorer. I'm sure.
You stare into the abyss, and the abyss stares. The future is bright, those who wait. A sacrifice today is a blessing. The future is bright for those who wait.
Again, explorer. One step closer. Every little bit helps. It was nice to see you. A sacrifice today is a blessing tomorrow.